Good morning. It's 10:46 in the AM, and it is Juneteenth or June 19th, 2023. And I am Pete Drexstrom from LetPetePlan at gmail.com, an agent for Boardwalk Travel Agency. I'm going to talk to you about some mobility issues or lack of mobility issues. This is going to be a quick one, not a quick one, but this is going to be kind of an overview of everything that you need to look at. And then in future videos, we might look at specifics. There is going to be a little bit of specifics today, but not in great detail. Again, this is my opinion. I've done some research on it. I have a child with mobility issues, and we have to look into these things when we make reservations or when we book a vacation. Probably more than other people do that don't have members of their family or traveling party with mobility issues. So, you know, it does come from a small bit of expertise, I guess, for lack of better word. I've talked to you a little bit about the DAS, or the Disability Access Service. And if you haven't, looked at that and you need some assistance with that, go back a few videos of mine and we can talk about that. And we've talked about that. So I'm not going to be discussing that. I'm talking about actual things to look for in other areas. Number one thing is that some of you have your own wheelchair, but then some of you are thinking about renting either a wheelchair or an ECV, or from now on I'll be calling them scooters, electric scooters. And some of the things that you need to think about. And when you rent, there's really two options. You either rent on site or you rent off site. And when you rent on site, you're basically renting park by park. You are renting. You can't take it away from the park itself, or wherever you're renting it from. Once you get back to your transportation, you have to give it back up, type of thing. But if you rent off-site, they deliver it to your resort. Now, there's even I don't want to say problem, but there's one rental group that deals directly with Disney. They became their featured provider, and that's called Scooterbug. And this is not an advertisement for Scooterbug, but I am here to tell you, if you are renting off-site, and you're not going to be at your resort when the scooter comes, you need to probably rent from Scooterbug, because Scooterbug's the only one that they allow to drop off the scooter and you not be present. So take that as you may. Prices on site are usually more expensive. I shouldn't say usually, they are more expensive than they are from off-site rental things. So with that said, it's probably the best is to, if you're renting either a wheelchair or a ECV or scooter, it's probably better to rent off-site. And again, you probably use Scooter Bug. I don't know. I don't know if they have one. It's just going to make things easier for you. Now we're going to be looking at resorts. A couple things that you need to look for. One is size of the rooms. That's probably the number one, is because you're going to have to, the person's going to have to put their ECV in or scooter in or a wheelchair in and get out. With the ECV, you're going to have to think about where you're going to charge it, charge the batteries, and so size can be an issue. You want it bigger. Now with my son, it is an issue. However, with our wheelchair, we can kind of fold it up and put it away for a little bit. But we usually just keep it out and put extra. We put our bags and stuff on it, and then clear it off when we're getting him in. But we still like to have some extra room on there for his wheelchair, even though we don't have to charge it every time because it's not electric. So number one you need to think about is size of the rooms and accessibility to the rooms. Are you on ground floor, or if you are on a higher floor, is there an elevator? Those are issues. Not all Disney resorts have elevators, even though they have multiple floors. There is one or two of the buildings in Port Orleans Riverside that does not have an elevator, and so then you're limited to really ground floor if you have an ECV, because you can't get it up to the second floor if you don't have an elevator. I don't care how strong you are. The other issue when talking about resorts is transportation. How to get to the parks. Now, you're either going to take Disney transportation or your own transportation. Still, with both, there's things you have to keep in mind. Okay, are you at a resort that has multiple bus stops? If you are, you want to be at the near the first bus stop, because that way you're pretty much guaranteed a spot on the bus. Most buses, well, all buses, I think, has room for two, either wheelchairs or ECVs or scooters. You can fit two there. I'm not for sure. I know you can fit two. Second thing is, if you're on the first stop, you're pretty much guaranteed that, and then all the multiple stops in between, they might not. If two get on the first stop, they can't take another. They can't say you need to get out because this person needs it more. I don't know. You just can't do that. So that's something. You might want to look into places that have access to the Skyliner, or have boat access or monorail access to the parks. And the one thing about monorail access is you have access to two parks. And the thing with Skyliner, you have access to two parks. And there is boat access to three separate parks. Not, in certain days. like in Wilderness Lodge, you could, or Fort Wilderness campgrounds and cabins. You can take the boat over to the Magic Kingdom. That's one way. With staying at Beach Club, Yacht Club, Swan and Dolphin, and the Boardwalk, you have access to 2 parks by the boat, both Epcot and Hollywood Studios. And with the Skyliner, any Skyliner has access to 2 of the parks, whether it's Hollywood Studios or Epcot. Now you might have to transfer, but those are not issues. And then you have bus transportation to the other parks. So just keep that in mind. If you are if you're going to take your own car, or if you're going to rent a car and drive it, or if you're going to even take, so then you have to figure out, okay, where is my car parked versus where I'm staying, which room that I'm in. Some places you could be staying half mile away from your car, which becomes a problem, especially if you get to your car and then all of a sudden realize, oh, I forgot something, I have to go back, which has happened to us at Art of Animation once. So it's just one of those things. You're not parked right next to your own. Now there are some places where you can park up pretty close. Old Key West, cabins at Fort Wilderness, probably Saratoga, a lot of places that you are within that area, even so, but in some, like in the All Stars or Pop Century or Art of Animation, you're going to probably park kind of far away from your actual room. So with that, now the other thing that you think about when dealing with disability issues is restaurants. Are they big enough to seat you at a table? These are issues, kind of like your room. You want to be able to that, and also make sure that you're not blocking other people from walking around. So those are some of the issues you do with. There's some restaurants that are better than others. Access on rides or attractions. For instance, the Haunted Mansion. If you've ever been on the Haunted Mansion and you've heard them, there are some spooks that have delayed or it's usually someone with limited mobility that's not able to walk on the walkway and that's going in. We usually stop the now. Can they get in? Yes, and they can. They're very. Disney is very accommodating to people with mobility issues, and they tend to do a great job. But these are still things that you need to. Jungle Cruise, for instance, has an actual boat that you can just roll your wheelchair into. You might have to wait a couple of times before it comes around, but it's there. Same way with almost any of the boat rides, except the ones that go plunge down, or Kali River Rapids doesn't have that, although you do get in on a certain area and they pull it in. Now, ironically, with Kali River Rapids is that when we take our son, who does not like that ride because he's going to get wet, they're very accommodating, and every once in a while you get to go around twice, which to the detriment to my son, who does not like it, but to the joy of everybody else who wants to go around again because they want to get wet and cool off from a hot day at Animal Kingdom. It's kind of interesting. Other things to think, find out where seating is for things like the parades. Fireworks usually have special seatings for mobility issued areas that are in wheelchairs. These are, I don't want to say perks, but sorry, something just popped up on my thing about something about Disney that I'll look into, and who knows, maybe it'll become a video coming up. But next video, we'll probably be looking at certain resorts that are good for people with disabilities, with mobility issues, so to speak, and some that are not. Ironically, one or two of them arguably might not be as good as some of the others. However, remember, with resorts, you're looking at size, transportation availability. With that, I'm Pete Drackstrom, and I am from letpeteplan@gmail.com, an agent for Boardwalk Travel Agency, and I would be happy to help you plan your next Disney or Universal Orlando vacation at no extra cost to you, because I get paid commission from the destination. And with that said, have a magical day.